Slats. I'm one of the writers for Rue Morgue and one of the organizers for Expo. Look what I brought with me. Amy Acker. Go figure. So Amy, you're here in Toronto. Any time to do anything, or are you just here for the con?
Mostly just here for the con. I went and had sushi last night. It was
Sushi.
Which is what everyone thinks of about Toronto, right?
Cool, and as we were making our way down here, you mentioned that you've been in town just recently to do some recording for Suits.
I did a couple of episodes of Suits. To be Lewis's sister, so.
Cool.
As he said, you obviously see the resemblance. So.
Now, I'll admit that the Amy Acker that I know and love is that from Angel. So I want to start there, but before that, you're from Dallas, Texas, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and coming out of there, going into acting, how did that happen?
Oh, okay. Well, I wanted to be a ballerina when I was. Wait, how far back am I supposed to? And I had knee surgery, which is also another interesting story because I was bit by a spider in first grade, paralyzed for 2 weeks during Christmas.
Paralyzed?
Yeah.
Like a black widow?
Brown recluse, they think.
Oh, brown recluse, yeah.
And so then I had all this scar tissue in my knee, and then I had to get surgery, and so I couldn't dance for a while, and I took a theater class, and I was really, really, really shy, and I realized that when other people wrote words and I got to just pretend to be someone else, that I liked talking, but when I have to say my own words like this, I get really embarrassed. But yeah, so then I started doing theater and went to SMU in Dallas and continued doing it there, and that's how it started.
And the big breakout for you?
Well, after college, I worked at a Shakespeare company in Wisconsin, and I moved to New York for a little bit after that, and I got cast in a pilot for MTV that was called Hell House, and I was a really mean girl who was in a wheelchair, and the only line I remember from the show is that someone looked at me and said, "I always wondered how they got the saying bitch on wheels." Needless to say, that pilot did not get picked. But I ended up coming back out to LA, and I was out there a few days and got cast in this is probably one I shouldn't admit. No, it was a movie that William Shatner wrote and directed and starred in. And so I went and made that movie with them, and then I got back and got cast on Angel.
Now, was that a tough process to go through that? When you met Joss Whedon, did you see him right at the bat and he was like, "You're my friend"? Is that how it happened?
No, they just had a little scene that wasn't ever in the show that was about a librarian, and I had gone in and had auditioned for Amy Britt, who was the casting director, and I think it was about my third audition that I met Joss, and I think probably the fact that I had worked at a Shakespeare company is what got me the job. Because he was having a reading on that weekend or something, a Shakespeare reading at his house, and he was like, "Oh, you do Shakespeare?" And I was like, "Sure." So then I got to be friends.
And one thing that I loved about the character, and that actually showed a lot of your depth, was that was like 13 different roles in one, from being this mousy, shy, little girl to this lab scientist to this evil. I mean, is that hard to get into those, or is that just what you do? Like you said before that you felt you were shy, but then you're playing this mean girl. Is that just something that you go into a zone and you're able to pull that out?
I mean, I think that's really the reason why I like doing genre television, is that they give you the ability to grow as characters in a way that I feel like a lot of shows, if you're on Law and Order or something, you're kind of the same detective in season 1 and season 12, but I think that's been the real gift of being in. I've just been so lucky to get to play such awesome characters. Even Root, that I'm playing now, I started out as one person and getting to change the way that real people do. It's just really nice.
And I know that there's a lot of people here who love Person of Interest, right? And we'll get to that, but I want to go back to Angel. A lot of us will agree that it looked like this show got cut far too soon, that we wanted more seasons, we wanted everything. For you at that time, was there ever a question like, you're going to open the script and my character is going to be gone, I'm not going to be here for the next show, kind of thing?
Well, I mean, the story, I might have already told everyone this, when I was, the last season that we ended up doing, Joss called one day and said, you know, can you meet me for coffee? And I was like, sure. And we met at some like random place that it just seemed very odd. I was very nervous about the whole thing, and we sat down, and I don't think either of us even drank coffee. He drinks tea and I had water or something. So we were sitting there and he said, well, I'm killing Fred. And I just was like, don't cry, don't cry. And he waited like a really, really long time, and then he said, but you're still gonna be on the show. I'm turning you into a demon goddess. And I was like, that works. So that was my main scare.
And talking with him and deciding to do that, were you able to morph the character at all?
Yeah, that was what was really cool about it, is that he decided to do it kind of, I want to say maybe September or something, and Allison Hannigan and Alexis were getting married about a month later, and we were all at the wedding together, and he showed up and he handed me some scenes he had written for Illyria that weren't, again, not scenes that ever were in the show. I probably should have saved those. That would have been good. But he handed us these scenes, and then, so, you know, after dancing all night, I went back and read what character I was going to become. And then he had Alexis and I over one night, and in their kitchen they had these really cool, I guess it was mostly if they wanted to have impromptu dance parties, but you could change their lights of their kitchen to be different colors. So we were reading through these scenes that he had written, this was probably in November, like a month later, and he was just changing the lights to be different colors, and when it got to blue, then he was like, yeah, she's gonna be blue. And so we were doing the scenes, and we kind of worked through, he was saying how he wanted her to kind of move almost insect-like. And so, yeah, we got to really play around with it, and then I think I didn't start shooting until January, so I had about 5 months to know that that was coming up.
And the outfit, which was, you know, did that go through a lot of changes?
There's a few really great
I've seen that too.
Today.
Do we have someone here? Can you stand up?
There's
Let's see. Is there a few? Yeah, there's one there. Beautiful. So is that all like latex, and did it take hours to be put into it, or was it?
No, it's surprisingly comfortable, right? It's not too, it was like a stretchy bodysuit, and the material is pretty stretchy. The makeup was about 2 hours. At the beginning, they painted my hair, and then I was literally I was like, you know what, let's just dye my hair for real. And then I showed up the next day and we were canceled. So I was like, oh, maybe we should wait on that.
And that, I mean, as an actress, already kind of actor, it's tough, obviously, to get canceled.
Yeah.
And so, what was did you decide, okay, I'm going to take some time off, or were you just like out there?
Well, they told us early enough that we still had quite a few episodes left, and he got to sort of bring it to somewhat of a conclusion. And but yeah, I think what happened, oh, I got married after that or something.
something happened. Got a kid or two in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So, knowing that you can see the end that's in sight, and working with these people that you've been working with for such a long time, tough?
Yeah, I mean, that was the saddest part. One of the like one moment that just sticks out is the end when Wesley dies and Illyria / Fred is holding him. Joss wrote that scene even though he didn't write the whole episode, and he came in and just directed that scene because he was like, this is like a thing, we're gonna have, and so we were all just crying. It was very sad.
Now, one thing that we've come to learn from Boreanaz is that he's really good with ad-libbing, and was that something that would just kind of take you, like kind of knock you, or would you just roll with it?
You know, it wasn't that kind of show. He must do that on Bones, is that what they say?
I've read that too, but I've read that he was doing that. Just that maybe just did it with you. I don't
know. I think we had to say the words that were written. I mean, why wouldn't you want to say Joss's words?
I think we can all
I
agree
don't
here.
remember there being a lot of ad-libbing, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't think so.
Well, I think we'd all agree that Joss Whedon is a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
And we're always, and I would imagine that opening up those scripts and seeing the words that he's put in there is just like a gift for any actor or actress.
No, it is. It's really great. It's nice when you're on shows, and again, I'm still lucky to feel that way where you're excited like a fan to read the next episode. So every time I'm like, oh, we got a new script today.
So going from that to Dollhouse then being the next step was that was another series that was just ended too soon as far, you know.
Well, we all thought it would be canceled after the first season, so we were really happy that we got two.
So that was a gift to have a little more?
Yeah.
Okay. Then going right to Person of Interest. Now here's you know, it's such an amazing show. And it's good that it's going, but I know you probably can't say this, but I keep on feeling like this season going into is going to be the last. Do we know? Is there?
We don't know. So if you, I recently was doing an Austin television thing with Greg, who's one of our showrunners, and he said they are writing this episode to be an end, but if it gets picked up, then they'll make a new end. So, so I guess they had something in mind that they wanted to make sure they were telling a story, but they feel like there's way more story to tell. So they just didn't want to do something that wasn't, you know, if it turns out that we don't get to do more, they wanted to feel like they were happy with what they did this year. So they've got 13 episodes, and so far they're very action-packed, and there's so much, they're just making every second count, and really, I think it'll be really exciting and good.
Cool, we're all looking forward to that. Just like, I love the antagonism between Root and Shaw. And it just seems like you're either gonna kill each other or you love each other, and is that something that's just kind of evolved as the show's been going? And like, do you feel like that when you're off set, or is that just
There's not, I hope, maybe Sarah feels like she's gonna kill me. I don't feel that way about her. Yeah, no, the first episode we were in together where I was torturing her with an iron just seemed like a logical setup for a relationship. I think off camera they were all even surprised because they didn't really imagine that it was going to be something that was going to create a chemistry between us, and it just kind of turned out that way, and they decided to go with it.
Cool. One thing that kind of creeped me out, I wanted to get your feeling about it, when you had to sit with the 9-year-old kid who was the machine.
He's so good.
Yeah, Oaks, I think was his name, Oaks Begley or something. So, like, what was that like? I mean, you've got children yourself.
I
on the
do.
same age, at least one of them,
I just
right?
kept thinking I must be a terrible mother. Like, you're so good. He was just the most well-behaved. He knew every single line. He was like doing his homework when he wasn't on set without complaining. No, he's really a special kid, and he was really great. And his mother was there, and I think she used to be an actress, or she was a stage actress too, and it was really fun to work with him, and
That's
you
cool.
know.
Would you go back to doing stage acting?
Oh, I would love to do that if yeah, that would be fun.
Anyone knows anyone? Now, with Person of Interest, I think one thing that's probably, it seems so relevant with the ideas of the surveillance and AI and this, sentience and everything, is, and it's probably why it resonates with people a lot, especially in this day and age. When you're doing your part and out there, are you thinking about that as well? It's just like what we're living in with drones flying around and all that, or is it just?
No, I think for sure, especially, people kind of joke among the cast and crew that we started out doing a sci-fi show, and then at some point it kind of became reality television. We were like, oh, yeah, I read something that I think Jonah had said that they had written an episode and gotten notes from the network like that would never happen, and then basically it was Snowden, and they were like, really? Because I wish it did happen. But yeah, it makes you just more aware, especially now living in New York and the show takes place there, and sometimes I'll be like riding up in the elevator of my building and I'll be talking to myself or something, running lines or something in my head, and then I look up and I'm like, someone's probably watching me on the camera right now. So I definitely feel like, yeah, I know, like, you just, it makes you more aware that people can find out a lot more about you, it's really fascinating, and the way that they ended the show last year with the 2 ASIs, and it just makes me nervous because they've predicted so much of stuff that's happening. So now, I don't know, you read things about all of these multimillionaires who are warning us against building ASIs, and I'm like, yes, don't you guys know Samaritan's gonna take over the world?
Well, that's great. Okay, enough of me talking. I'm sure there's lots of people here who have questions for Amy, so if you do, raise your hands, please. Yeah, right here.
So I'm a big love artist that I just recently watched A Hole in the World.
Yeah.
And the performance was hauntingly beautiful
Oh, thank
and diverse. My question is, in your opinion, the 3 guys, astronaut and caveman.
I never know. Wait, what was your answer?
Does anyone else want to answer
I'm
that?
I'm going caveman.
Caveman.
Yeah.
Caveman's the answer.
Today for caveman.
Anyone else? Yes?
That was awesome. A lot of you probably heard this story too, but we had done these readings at his house where he just invited really whoever wanted to come. You didn't have to have done Shakespeare. You could have never read it before. You could bring like your uncle who was in town from Tennessee. It didn't matter. Like whoever wanted to come, and there was wine and food and red plates, and usually something incredible came out of it. That's actually how I became Illyria, is from one of those readings. But we had done Much Ado years before, and then after Avengers, I got a phone call that was from Joss, and he said, do you want to make a movie of Much Ado at my house in a couple of weeks? And I was like, sure. And so he wasn't technically, I think, allowed. He was supposed to be in the editing room, and he had a week off. So they were going to go on a trip to Italy with their family, and then Kai was like, you should make this movie instead on your week off. And so he couldn't really rehearse with us that much, so he would leave their house open, and Alexis and I would go over and run lines and do the blocking, and he kind of, because it was in their amazing, that's their real house that's gorgeous and incredible, but you could really move scenes from one room and through real space. So we would have rehearsals whenever we could, and we kind of rehearsed it like a play, so he just wanted everyone to be ready to shoot whatever we could, because we only had 12 days. And so then when we showed up and there was like real trucks and craft service and cameras, and Alexis and I were like, oh, we're making a real movie? We kind of thought it was going to be like Joss on his iPhone or something. Which is probably good, because we would have been a lot more nervous about the whole thing if we had known. But yeah, so it was great. And that whole group of people that he put together, and you know, bringing in wonderful friends that we already had, and finding new people, and then everyone just, it was like this, my favorite part about watching that movie is watching it is what it felt like making it. Like, it just really felt like a party. Except for that, it wasn't real alcohol on screen. There were a lot of times after the end of the day that I always went home because I have children, but I would come back and there would be like 4 people asleep on the couch, and I was like, that's what they were wearing yesterday.
Okay, I see that we have the microphones on the other side, so if people do have questions, you just want to walk to the side, we can use the microphone there instead of calling it out. Is there someone on this side over here? Here comes somebody.
This is a question about you being in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah.
How was it on set with everybody, and do you have any funny moments from them?
Oh my goodness. Well, Neil is one of my best friends. The weirdest part was kissing him. And telling my husband I was gonna kiss him. But it was great. They're all such great people, and because Neil my friends already, we always went and hung out there, and they shot How I Met Your Mother shot just a few stages away from Dollhouse, so when they were on at the same time, I would sneak over there if I had a break and hang out with all of them, and so it was really fun. Thank you.
Great. Okay, we'll take one over on this side, yeah?
Hi. Hi. I'm asking on behalf of AfterEllen.com, where we're big fans of you and Sarah.
Thank you.
And so I wanted to start by asking, who do you think Root loves more, the machine or Shaw? And more seriously, if you can just, talk a bit about the storyline of it, because it's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like that could be spoiler alert for season 5. Yeah, I mean, I think even at the end of last year, it was, having to pursue, when Shaw left, and then we were trapped there, and the machine turning it over to Samaritan, and all of that, you really saw that there's a struggle between which one. But at the end, I feel like if the machine isn't winning, or if Samaritan's in control and we don't have the machine, that Root kind of feels like there's nothing, we're gonna all be dead anyway. So, and I feel like in order to have Shaw, I have to be able to help the machine.
And I don't want to be selfish, but can we gush about the storyline a little bit, Root and Shaw? You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, over this side.
Hi. Am I good? Sweet. So, to go from a character like Fred, who's kind of timid at the very beginning, so I just started season 4 of Person of Interest, so Root's still a little out there, getting to the drum room beat there, and to go from someone like Fred to Root, who's this crazy smart hacker, 2 totally different characters. Which one do you enjoy doing most and why?
Cheers. I don't know that I have like one that I like most. I don't know if this makes sense, but I feel like every character, like playing Root makes me more appreciative of Fred, and playing Fred makes me, it's just so nice to be able to get to do such different things. And I mean, it's really, Person of Interest has amazing writers, Joan Nolan and obviously Angel, all of those guys are incredible. So I feel like I just like saying good things that people write. But it's just nice to get to play characters. Root has been fun because it's so out of character for me, and every time I get a script, I'm like, I get to do that? And now like people, this year I've got to do some crazy things. And even like the crew members are like, can you believe you get to do this? And I'm like, no, this is the best job ever. So yeah, I wouldn't say I have a favorite, but I'm definitely having fun playing this part right now.
Nice, thank you. Over here, please.
Hi. I was wondering if you've read any of the comics for Angel past season 5, and if you have, what you thought about them.
Yeah, I haven't, and especially being here this weekend, I've seen the artwork is just so cool, and getting to sign the covers, I would love to, but I think there's a lot of them. I'm a little behind. No, I just heard some people were telling me about them as they went through the line today. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This side, please.
One of the things I love best about Root is how morally ambiguous she is. So I was wondering if you had any opinion on what Root might be like if she had found Samaritan before the machine.
Good question.
I don't like that question. I don't know. She's so. That's a good question. I feel like she would have made Samaritan be better. No, I don't know. She's such a proponent of the machine, and they tried to switch her over, and even though Samaritan seems to be winning right now, she still is fighting for the machine. So I feel like there's something specific about the machine and about Harold and him creating it that makes her have that special connection with her.
There you go. This side, please.
Hello. Oh, okay. So my question is, I was just wondering, like, what was your inspiration or like your motivation in order to like become like such like an actress? Like, what drove you to like?
Well, really, probably my high school theater teacher. She was just incredible. We did plays like The Crucible and Tony Kushner and all these great plays that we never did plays that seemed like they were kind of dumbed down for high schoolers. She really pushed us to do current things and interesting things, and yeah. So I don't know if I would have loved it as much if it hadn't have been for her. Thank you.
Good question. Yes.
Hi. Where would you have liked to see Illyria go at season 6? And thanks for signing my autograph earlier on.
You're so nice. Thank you. Well, we thought there was going to be a season 6, and I don't know if I made this up in my head, but I swear that Joss told me that season 6 was going to be almost like a mafia thing, where like every faction was going to be kind of on its own, like rogue out there. So, and I also heard that I was going to get to be Fred again eventually. So, I really like switching back and forth between the two characters. So probably more of that, and maybe her adjusting a little more to life on Earth. Just like Illyria in everyday life situations, at Starbucks or something.
Was there ever any talk about doing a movie, an Angel movie, or was that something that was like just a pipe dream?
I feel like I heard something at one point about maybe like a Spike Illyria thing, and then
Spike Illyria thing.
someone mentioned that, and then it didn't happen.
Okay.
But it was exciting for a minute.
Spike Illyria, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, over this side, please.
Which character is harder to play, Root or Fred? Because they're both kind of like into like the STEM type stuff.
Oh, probably Root a little bit. Fred was a little bit more like me. I was always like a math and science. I was a lot younger then, and I had just graduated from school, and math and science were my favorite subjects, and so I always felt like Fred was from Texas. She loved tacos. We just had so much in common. I'm less comfortable killing people.
side, please.
What, if anything, can you tease about Root and Finch's upcoming philosophical debates? Like, what kind of stance would Root take versus what kind of stance would Finch take?
Okay. I have to see how I can say this without getting in trouble. There are those. There's a lot of those. That's a big part. Well, we have the machine in a box now, and Samaritan's kind of won the battle. So I think this season's going to be, what do we need to do to the machine so that we're not losing? And I think we kind of have different viewpoints on what that should be.
Nice,
That
thank you.
wasn't much of a tease, but.
This side, please.
Hi. I was wondering, what was the experience like when you guest starred on Grimm as the Spinatod? Because that's one
That was great because David Greenwald, who was on Angel, that's his show, and it was so fun to get to go up there. And I realized, because on Angel, I had the Illyria makeup, but it wasn't, it was just spray paint. And one time I had like a crusty, when I lost all the water, but that was just for like a day. And then everyone, all the monsters would talk about how hot it was and how hard it was to drink, and they couldn't breathe and move, and I was like, oh, they're kind of babies about this. And then I did Grimm, and I wanted to call everyone and be like, I'm so sorry, that was so hard. So yeah, the prosthetics were really, really hard and interesting, and becoming an old woman was a little depressing.
Thank you. And talk about doing a show like that. You did a Supernatural as well.
Yeah.
And that was a good one too, right? Now, is that them coming to you and saying, like, we want you to be on this show?
Yeah, that's been one really nice thing is, there were such amazing writers on Angel and Buffy, and now they've all gone on to make their own amazing shows. So there's Grimm and Jane Espenson and Martin Oxon, and everyone's doing all these great things. So it's nice to have them, that sometimes they'll just be like, we need someone to play a pink fairy, would you do it? And I'm like, that sounds great.
Good stuff. Okay, over here, please.
That actually ties in with my question. I really loved you as Andrea on Supernatural and Nova on Once Upon a Time. Would you ever go back to do a guest appearance if they asked?
I would love that. Yeah.
We'd all love that, wouldn't
I can't believe that. Supernatural seems so long ago, and is it still on forever? Like, is it just
Season 11.
and there's no end in sight?
No, it is. And some of us don't want the end.
I think they've probably run out of other actresses. Isn't it time to bring me back? Yeah, I would love that.
Great, well, hopefully we'll see that again. On this side, please.
First, let me say I love Much Ado About Nothing, except it took me forever. It took me forever to see it, because it took forever for it to show up on Netflix. And it was so good, I really felt bad that I didn't see it earlier, so I could tell people you really should see this.
Thank you.
My question is about person of interest. Now I know you probably already did some gun training because you're on Alias. I was wondering if they gave you specific notes on how Root would shoot people, because I noticed Shaw and John are very professional military hands, but you're two guns all the time. You give specific notes about how crazy to do your shooting.
It's kind of one of those things. Actually, Jim was talking to me about this the other day. He was like, how do you know how to shoot this well? I was like, well, the machine tells me where to shoot. And he was kind of like, yeah. But I think that's the beauty of having, the first time I ever had the machine kind of talking to me, we were in the New York Public Library. Maybe it was the finale of season, I don't know when it was, sometime season 2, I guess.
Someone
West
IMDb it
New
or
York Public
something.
Library. In real life, I think it was on the show too. But they had like a thing where the machine would go like beep, 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 and then like as it got closer, then I was supposed to shoot. It works like that. But now she really talks to me, so she just says, so that's why I don't have to look and I can just, gotcha. But there are also actual real trained weapons people, and as now when Shaw was away, I kind of got to do a little bit more crazy gun stuff than I had before. So there were guys teaching us about these really scary automatic giant weapons that they had. And my main concern was you know what's really hard? A gun is very heavy, and when you have to do a scene that's 5 minutes holding a gun like this, your arm really starts to shake. So the other night they were like, Amy, so I'm having to lift weights to be able to hold guns straight.
Wow. Thanks. Over here, please.
Hello. I was just wondering how you became involved with Suits, and if you were going to become a recurring character on that series.
They just asked me if I would do a couple of episodes, and that was all that has been planned so far. So hopefully, I had a great time. The crew was obviously all Toronto people, and they were just about the nicest people I've ever worked with. So they were great, and everyone on the cast, all the cast was really fun, and being up here was wonderful. So I would love to come back, but as of right now, there's no plans that I know of.
Thank
you.
Thanks. Over to the side, please.
Yes, my question is to do with that episode Smile Time on... What was it like working with a Muppet?
That was one of the hardest episodes because the people who did the Muppets, they had the dirtiest mouths. And they would be sitting underneath the desk and then they would say cut, and there are kids here, but then when the director would say cut, they would keep talking, but like sit just like, oh, that was and then we would all just be laughing so hard because they were so good at it, you really felt like you were talking to them. They were incredible. It was really fun.
What happened to all of those Muppets? Did you guys get to keep them, or do you know?
I don't know where they are now.
Did you keep anything from your Angel days?
I do. I have a golden armadillo that was on Fred's desk, and I really liked it.
Nice.
And I think I have the Dixie Chicks poster, so.
Beautiful. Over here, please.
Hi, on the set Person of Interest, you guys pull any pranks on each other?
Oh. Have you ever seen, I don't know if you're on Twitter, but there's a guy named Teddy who's one of our ADs, and he's really funny, and he likes to dress up as some of the characters from time to time. So the other day he was dressed up as Finch. It was great. He's been dressed as Jim from time to time, but I don't know if there's too many. It's so hard because you're in the city and you have to move so fast that we don't have a lot of time for practical jokes. But now I'm gonna have to do one, because everyone always asks that question.
We'll have to check the gag reel on the next season.
Yes.
So. Over here, please.
Hi, this is a bit of a two-part question.
Okay.
And now that Root and Harold are rummaging around in the machine's code, trying to figure out which is the original and which is what the machine has altered on its own, would they ever entertain the notion that the real reason the irrelevant numbers was given out was because the machine detected an even bigger threat than the relevant numbers and Samaritan, and is actively trying to prevent it?
Maybe you should write.
That's
I
pretty intense.
tried for a living, I did not write. Which leads into my second part of the question. Now that Ruth has been doing a lot of traveling around the world for the machine, setting things in motion, was there anything that she was doing besides making sure the machine was in that suitcase? We'll be able to see more of that in the next season.
Oh, you know, I think that'll have to be another show. No, so as of last year, we've kind of all been in hiding. Like I haven't been able to travel too much because Samaritans out there, so we're kind of, that didn't get to happen. We're all just mainly together focused on getting the machine back up and running to start the year off.
Wow, so that pretty much means you've been, like as a group, you've been reestablishing your own identities on your own this whole time without the machine, then?
You have to go away.
Okay.
I meant that in a nice way.
Maybe something lighter.
No, not really.
Okay.
In the second half of season 4, where practically every scene that's not action, Root looks like she's just barely trying to hold herself together. In the last scene in the car, and then even the tiny little one in the diner, were you actively thinking about it as you were doing it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was just sort of part of it because so much of what was going on was all about trying to find Shaw, and then she really wasn't there. We all really missed her. She had gone back to LA.
And you didn't know she was going to come back.
We didn't know what was going to happen, and it was just so. It was really sad that she left, and now that she's coming back, I can say it was just really neat for the storyline because I don't think that my character would have gotten to have that arc, obviously, if that hadn't have happened. And I think that was, I just feel like they gave me some really cool scenes to play, and it was nice to have that driving force. And as the other question before, kind of the debate of like, do I find Shaw or do I find the machine, and how do how do you balance the two? So it was good. Thank you.
Thanks. Over this side, please.
Hi there. First of all, I just wanted to say that if Illyria and Spike did get together, it'd be really cool to hear them both do spoken poetry. So my question is simple. As an actress, what's your routine for memorizing a script?
I'm kind of lucky. I can memorize things pretty easily, but Michael and I have, let's see, Tuesday and Wednesday, I just looked, we have like 23 pages of dialogue in the subway. So last night I spent in bed reading, learning lines. Sometimes I write it down. I don't know if that actually helps, but I've convinced myself that it does. But usually I just kind of keep saying it to myself, and I like to walk my dog and talk to myself in the park. So if you see weird pictures of me online talking to myself, I'm probably just writing lines. It's not someone in my head.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Totally off topic, what kind of dog do you have?
Golden Doodle.
A golden doodle. Okay. Please.
Hi. I'm just asking, Andy Lauren passed away after the ending of Angel. I've always been curious if he was as amazing of a singer as they actually portrayed him to be. I've heard amazing things about him, but he hit some notes that freaked me out. So I'm just always wondering if he was as amazing as he sounded.
That was him. I mean, he did it all, and Joss knew him outside of, he hadn't really acted before that. Joss knew him. I think he was from Cape Cod, which is where Kai's from, and he kind of created the character around his singing and personality, and that was all him. Actually, they used to do, hadn't done conventions in a while, but the kind of last ones I went to before a couple of years ago were these ones in London, and they were all angel conventions. And so it was just like 3,000 angel fans, and they would just like have parties. But Andy, at least once a day, would get on stage and sing Lady Marmalade. And it was awesome. It was great.
Thanks very much. Over here, please.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm totally gonna get super nervous now. My question was about in person of interest for stunts and stuff like that. Like, not even so much stunts. Like when you were playing chicken with the machine on the edge of the roof. How much of that is real? How much is completely computer generated? And how much is like stunt team?
So for that one in particular, I'm not afraid of heights, and I said I wanted to do it, and they would not let me. But there's a bunch of great stunt people on the show. That was a girl named Heidi, and they had her walking along the edge of that building. I think it was 55 stories up high. It was a wider ledge. I mean, it was, and they had her tied off because that would have been bad if she. So it was safe-ish, you know. She would have just fallen and hung over the building. But they also built about 3 feet away from the edge. They built another thing that was just about this high, so that they could film it and kind of get the camera in the right spot. So I did that part, and she got to do the really cool part.
Cool.
Thanks. Over here.
Hi, I was just wondering what your time was like, your experience was like filming on Once Upon a Time as Nova.
That was a really fun time. I love Vancouver, and Lee is a really great guy. He was really fun to get to be with and be. It's always nice to kind of go out of town and do a job, and it was just really fun to be there with him, and I always like to get to play clumsy people, so I was really happy that I got to fall a lot and drop fairy dust. I mean, so it was great.
Thanks. Over here, please.
Hi, Amy. Thanks for coming.
Hi.
I just wanted to say I loved Much Ado, and I want to ask, what is your favorite Shakespeare to either perform or go see?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I just last year I saw Twelfth Night with Mark Rylance, and it kind of made me really want to do that, and I'd always wanted to play Viola, and then now I was like, oh no, I've got to play. So that's probably my new dream right now. Thank you.
Thanks for taking one of my questions too. That was great. Okay, over here, please.
Hello. First of all, I have to admit that I'm a terrible person and have not yet seen Person of Interest.
Okay, you can sit down.
You can do it now.
What's that?
You can do it now and tell all your friends.
So the question was more about Dollhouse. From what I've heard of this Person of Interest, you're kind of crazy. Excellent. So about Dollhouse as Whiskey and Dr. Saunders, I was wondering if maybe you'd have liked to be one of the more active dolls, kind of like Faith Echo. Sorry. So I was wondering if you'd have liked to have one of the more crazy roles, or if that's something you developed after the fact.
I mean, I really liked playing Dr. Saunders. It was such a neat part. I was always jealous of everyone like getting to go out and be in new costumes, and oh, she gets to dress up fancy and be different parts. But ultimately, I just feel like that part, I loved the scars and the history behind them, and I just got to have they wrote such amazing speeches and got to do really emotional things that as a doll you're kind of more limited by because you're erased eventually, and so yeah, I was happy with my part. I would have liked, I thought I left after season 1 because Joss said he didn't think it was going to get picked up, and I came up here here to Toronto to do another show, so, which was really fun too. But if I had known it was gonna, if I had known it would have been more fun to get to be more involved in season 2. But I love the show.
Because you mentioned